Love lives here.
All right, so beloveds, this year here at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, we are working with the theme of living your best life. And as I just mentioned, we are in our series, our spring series of living into the vision. And today we are talking about what's your yes? What's your yes? All right, so it's up there on the screen. It's there for you at home. Maybe.
It's, we're trying. All right, it'll do what it's going to do. No. All right, fine. Be that way.
All right, we're going to leave it like that, Ed.
We're going to leave it like that.
All right, so what's your yes?
Okay, so what's your yes?
I'm saying yes right now to internet that
yes
works
right
really,
now
really
to
well.
internet that works really, really well.
And it's funny, actually.
And it's funny.
Of course, this is the way
Actually,
Spirit works.
of course.
Oh, sweet Spirit, you are a comedian.
We are a comedian.
Because the way I was going to start this morning was, what if something in your life isn't going right? What if there is something in your life that you want to have happen but is not manifesting?
Right? Of course, it's all my fault, right? This is all my fault. I spoke my word, and here we are experiencing this challenge right now. So, when we have expressed a desire and we are not experiencing what it is that we want, it's not because of a lack of willpower, because God knows I am like willpowering this through right now with this camera, and now the entire thing went away. Lovely. All right, so we're just going to know. Eddie, it's on there? Okay, it's not on up here, so whatever works, works. Hi, folks, in my blurry vision of blurriness. All right. Breathing in. This is such an opportunity. I just love this. I just love this. Yeah, I think so too, clearly. I did it on purpose to make a point. Yeah. So, it's not for a lack of prayer when we are not experiencing what we want to experience. It's not for a lack of willpower. It's not for a lack of prayer, but likely, and I'm going to have to sit with this one at home, but likely it is because we have an underlying commitment that we have made to ourselves that is in the way of us experiencing what it is that we truly wish to desire. We have made this underlying commitment, and if you were experiencing what you want to experience, what you say you want to experience, if you're not experiencing that, it's because you don't have the commitment for it yet. You're not really committed to it yet. So evidently, I'm not really committed to Spectrum. But you don't have... If you had what you want in your life, that's where your real commitment is. If you're not experiencing what you want in your life, your commitment lies elsewhere. You're not really, truly committed to it. You really, truly haven't said yes to it, which is what we're talking about, is about saying yes. So what happens here is that we have two minds happening. We have two ideas, two competing ideas, two conflicting yeses, two conflicting commitments that are happening. And those commitments, that commitment there is an underlying commitment. It's an underlying commitment that we have. And as you know, it's impossible to serve two minds. Or as it was shared in biblical passages, it is impossible to serve two masters, meaning that we are serving the idea of what we want to experience in our life, which in this moment is internet. And what we are actually experiencing in our life or what is holding us back from that experience, right? And really what we're doing is we're really committed to the latter. Because the latter is what happened or what came about when we were younger. It is a commitment that we made to ourselves when we were little because something happened. That commitment is tied to those hidden beliefs that we've been talking about. Remember the hidden beliefs that we talked about before? How something happens, we make a story up about it, we get wrapped around that story, and then that story becomes how things operate. Well, the hidden commitment, the underlying is the agreement that we made with ourselves to keep ourselves safe, to get our needs met, to be safe, to be loved. This is what the underlying commitment is. This is how we are supporting. So we made this.
I'm going to add me back into the stream, Ed. We made this choice early on because of something that may have happened. So let's think of it this way. So say you're around 8 or 9, right? You're around 8 or 9, and an adult in your life says, you know what? Engage your brain before you engage your mouth. Engage your thinking before you engage your mouth. Engage your brain before you engage your mouth. And so you heard that, and what you then accepted is that, in order for me to get approval, in order for me to avoid criticism, in order for me to receive love
or to receive acceptance, I have to mind carefully what it is, think long and hard about what it is before I speak, before I say anything, before I express myself. I have to really stop and think about, is this going to upset? Is this going to trigger? Is this going to be met with criticism or disapproval? And so what we do is we then begin to monitor ourselves, monitor our speech, and begin really thinking really hard about what it is we're going to say, what it is we're going to share, when it is appropriate, when it's not appropriate, when it is safe, when it's not safe, right? I'm afraid, so I am committed to thinking something completely through, making sure it is safe, making sure it is perfect. What would that happen then when I sit down, or you sit down, to write a book? Oh my God, I got a sentence out. Now I'm wordsmithing it. I don't like the way I said that, so let me change this. All right, I got a few more sentences out. All right, now I have a paragraph, but that really sounds weird, and I think this sentence needs to go there, and that sentence needs to go there. How long before you give up? How long before you give up on trying to figure out the best way to say it? Because what you have committed to is committed to thinking very clearly, keeping yourself safe, and thinking very long and hard and making sure that the communication is absolutely perfect before you put it out into the world. That's where the commitment comes in, right? That's the real commitment. I say that I want to write a book. You say you want to write a book, but you're really committed to the perfectionism. You're really committed to making sure that it's okay so that you don't get criticized, so that you get approval, so that you get love, so that you're not seen in any other way other than, yes, it's perfect, just as it is. It's perfect. I've perfected it. This is where a lot of writers get stuck, is in this idea. But what we know, my beloveds, is that conscious thought, or trained thought, according to Ernest Holmes, trained thought is far more powerful than untrained thought. So what we have the opportunity to do is to bring this into consciousness. We have the opportunity to see, look at me. I am saying I want one thing, but I'm really committed. I'm really saying yes to something over here. I'm really saying yes to something that did serve me in the past, but is no longer serving me. The minute that we realize that we have said yes to something else, guess what? We're now at choice, right? We now have the ability, we now have the agency to choose something different. Something different, setting a new cause into motion, setting a new cause so that there is a different effect. Because, as it's often said, the one definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Same thing with thinking, same thing with this old commitment, this old yes that we've said yes to. This yes was there to keep us safe, but this yes is now what is sabotaging us in our adult life. It's the thing now, it's one of the things that is now in the way of us being able to say yes to our vision, of us being able to step forward into that greater desire that we have for our lives, that Spirit has for our lives. We're standing in our own way because we are committed to this limitation. We are committed to this thing that kept us safe when we were that high. No longer the case. It's no longer the case. So we have this opportunity to look at then what are our avoidance strategies. When this comes up, all right, so I need to be perfect. I need to make sure that this is perfect. What are my avoidance strategies? What are your avoidance strategies? Eating too much, scrolling on Facebook or social media, watching, Netflix for hours and hours and hours. What are your coping mechanisms that you enter into? What are those avoidance strategies? Because those avoidance strategies are not necessarily bad in and of themselves, but when we're saying yes to our limitation, we have a tendency to go to that avoidance strategy. We have a tendency, maybe it's too much exercise, or not too much, but maybe it's, constant exercise, or we get out, we go do something, we distract ourselves. It shows a distraction because we've said yes to staying small. We've said yes to our small self. We've said yes to our underlying commitment. So when this pops up, we have the opportunity to go, okay, so do I go to the fridge now or do I sit down? And do I write one sentence? Or do I sit down and go, okay, what is this really about? What is this resistance really about here? Food's not going to make a difference. Scrolling the internet isn't going to be helpful. Doing 100 push-ups might feel good, but it's not necessarily going to be helpful for the process that I'm in. Could be, who knows, right? So we have this beautiful opportunity to begin to make new choices. A couple of other, though, choices that we make that sabotage, aside from our avoidance strategies, are ignoring our intuition. Ignoring your intuition. When you ignore your intuition and you've got red flags going boop, 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 I knew I shouldn't have taken this job. No, everything in me is telling me don't take this job. Everything in me is saying don't enter into this relationship. Everything within me is saying don't go down that street. Everything within me is saying no, 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 no. And you go, I'm going to anyway, right? That's a choice that we've made that's now sabotaged us because everything is going off, all the alarm bells are going off, the red flags are going up, but we have now made a choice to cross our own boundary and ignore ourselves. We just talked about boundaries last week. That's another way. Remember that all choices either serve or sabotage the direction that we're going, serve or sabotage the vision. So if we are ignoring our intuition, saying, no, yeah, it'll be okay this time. Yeah. 6 years later, at the end of your relationship, you're like, I knew that one morning that this was not the person for me, and I ignored that, right? So that's yet another way of the choices that we make. And another way that we make choices is by not making a choice. When you don't make a choice, guess what? You just made a choice. You made a choice to leave it up to somebody else to make for you. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. Okay, we're going to go to IHOP. All right. Right? Somebody else made the choice. You have chosen not to make a choice. That is making a choice. So where in your life are you? When you're choosing not to make a choice, then you are living at the effect of somebody else saying, all right, you know what? I will make a choice. And this is what we're doing. Come along or don't. Right? But I'm going to IHOP for pancakes, so why not? Right? Our choices that we make right now, as Nancy Levin says, are the crystal ball of your future. Your present choices are your crystal ball of your future. If you want to know what your future is going to look like, start looking at the choices that you're making right now. If you're making the same choices that you were making 10 years ago, if you're making the same choices that you're making 30 years ago, if you're making the same choices that you're making 80 years ago, and that's the same choices, well, guess what? Same results, no new results. So you can guarantee pretty much that, your future self, 5 years from now, is going to look like your present self because you're making the same kinds of choices. So we have the opportunity to use that powerful, powerful conscious thought, that powerful trained thought, to begin shifting what it is that we are saying yes to, and say yes to new things. That's why affirmations are so important. It is a way of beginning to shift that subconscious, shift the unconscious into a positive way of thinking. But it takes the conscious mind to begin to introduce those new ideas, those positive choices for you to begin moving forward. So, if we go back to this book analogy, or this book story, right? So you want to write a book, but you were told, engage your thinking before you engage your mouth. So you made that mean, or you interpreted that as, I have to overthink everything and make sure that I am curating myself, make sure that I am watching what it is I say, what it is I do, how it is that I'm presenting myself to the world, that it has to be perfect before I let anybody see it, right? That becomes that limiting belief. That becomes that limiting thing, that limitation, yes? So what would be a powerful new belief that we could install to move forward? How about, I write for myself? What do you think of that one? Yeah, that's a possibility. How about I communicate my needs and my desires? That could be a possibility, right? How about my ideas and thoughts have merit? Is that a possibility? Or how about I'm free to express myself? Oh, that's the one that a lot of people like. All right, well, so we're working through to figure out, right? I'm free to express myself. So then we take that belief, beloveds, and that is the belief then that we take into spiritual mind treatment. I am free to express myself, a freedom of expression. That is what we then move into the spiritual mind treatment with, meaning that we do a series of affirmations moving through affirming this new belief of, I am free to express myself. And then, after that, because if we're really looking to change, we're really looking to affect our lives and move forward in our lives, then we have the vision. We know that the vision includes you're wanting to write this book, right? We know that that's the case. So then you're making the choice to plant that new belief of, I'm free to express myself. And then you have to take action upon it, because if there's no action, then it's just words, right? The action helps root this belief and help cement it, rather than just standing in the mirror and saying, I'm free to express myself, I'm free to express myself, I am free to express myself, feeling the feeling of it, but if there's no action taken on it, it's just words. So that brings us back to action. Could you take a small action, could you take to move you in the direction of the vision, in the direction that will support the idea of, I'm free to express myself? So what's one action we could take? Maybe we write one paragraph, stream of consciousness writing. Maybe we commit to doing that one paragraph, stream of consciousness writing, every day for this week. And if every day feels like too much, then 3 days this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to write one paragraph, stream of consciousness. Or you commit to a time period. I'm going to write for 15 minutes, stream of consciousness. Not filtered, not altered, not like backspace because I typed form instead of from, none of that, not reading it, committing to just doing that. That would be a possibility, right? Being free to express yourself. That's moving us in the direction of where we're wanting to go. Yes? All right. So, again, recapping. If you're not experiencing what you really truly desire, your yes is somewhere else. Your yes is on an underlying commitment. You have the opportunity now to bring that forward and make a new choice, to say a new yes to what it is that you really want to be experiencing. Start with creating a new belief there. Just a new thought that is believable, that's doable, that's achievable. Not something that's like way airy-fairy all the way out there, but something that's really achievable, really doable, really something you can believe, and then take a simple action for that. So, my beloveds, this week, I want you to look at and try and figure out where you are stuck in your life. Maybe that's not a hard thing for you to figure out. Or where you're not experiencing something that you want to experience. See it. Acknowledge it. Then drop down. Drop just a little bit lower and see what is the underlying commitment. What did you commit to? What is the underlying commitment that is in the way, that is holding your story in place, that is holding that hidden belief in place? What is the commitment you have said yes to? What's the commitment you said yes to? And then what's your new yes? What is the new commitment? What is your new yes that you're willing to embrace? That new yes you're willing to say. And then take action upon that. Got it? Know your homework? Yes. Yes. So you're saying yes. All right. So I invite our practitioners and our core council to please stand and surround the sanctuary. And I invite our musicians to once again take the platform. Whew. Warm up in here. You know, last week we had the heater on, and today we have the AC on. I don't understand. We skipped that whole season where we just get to have the windows open, it feels like. All right, so let's come together in consciousness. I invite you to close your eyes and just simply drop into this time and this space, this place. Breathing in the breath and allowing yourself to be breathed. And so I recognize that there is only one thing, only one life, only one presence, only one thing happening here. And that is the perfection, that is the divine right order, that is the divine right action, that is spirit, moving, living, breathing, and having its being in, through, and out all of creation, in, through, and out all of life. Because it is the one source, the one power, the one presence that is the creator, the creation. It is all of life. It is the universe itself. and so much more, because the universe is the manifest body of this one life, this one consciousness, this one love that is all. And so I recognize that I am one with this one, that it is the very who of who I am, that right where I am, this power and the presence is. Love is, peace is, harmony is, divine right order is, divine right action is. It simply is the isness that is always ising. And fullness of life itself happening right here and right now. For I am an individualized expression of it. And as I know that this is true of me, I know that this is true of all of life, of all of creation, of everyone present here this day. Each one is one with the one. Each one is the isness that is ising. It simply is all that there is. And so I speak my word here and now for this beloved community, letting go of any obstacles that may have been in our ways, letting go of any commitments that we have made in the past. We release them with thanksgiving and gratitude back into the nothingness from which they came. We recognize that at one time they did serve, and we thank them for their service, and now we let them go. We step into a new life, a new way of being. We step into a new choice. We step into saying yes. Yes to life, yes to love, yes to peace, yes to divine right action, yes to peace and poise and equanimity, yes to abundance. We say yes to the good that already is available to us when we say yes to it, so we say yes now, yes. And so in gratitude for all that is, and gratitude for this yes, we step forward mightily and powerfully, one small step at a time. We step forward with a yes, with a new conviction, with a new commitment. In deep, deep gratitude, we simply allow life to unfold with every yes, with every step. We are grateful for the expansion and the expression of life, of love itself. We are grateful for the vision. We are grateful for our path. We are grateful for the opportunities present here and now and always. And so we simply release this word into the law now, knowing that it is already done, knowing that we have said yes, and the universe must respond in kind by also saying yes, 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 and so it is. Ashe, amen.